Welcome, everyone. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Pratik Patel. I am the president of the league. And with me, I have my counterpart, Monir Hussain, who is the vice president of the league. And we also have Garnet Lalputan, who is the league match secretary. From a leadership standpoint, we also have Bilal Javed, who is our chairman of the board. Bilal bhai, not sure who else from your team has joined in, but it would be nice if you can quickly unmute yourself and introduce to everybody.
Thank you, Pratik. Hi, everyone. Bilal Javed. I am the chairman of the board. Thank you for joining, and thank you, Pratik, for hosting this. My only advice would be for everyone that is on the call to be respectful of each other. Please do not use profanity. Ask your questions in a respectful way, and league membership or the executive committee will try to answer it as best as possible. It could be that you may not like the answer that they gave you, but please, my only advice to you would be, please be respectful. Thank you, and thank you for hosting this, Pratik.
Thank you for setting the stage. Thank you, Masood bhai. I was not aware that you are also on the call. Those of you who have been around for a while, as you know, that the league leadership has never done anything like this, where they have where they are making an attempt reaching out directly to general membership, making sure that the general membership other than club POCs also have a platform and a forum to ask questions directly to WMCB executive committee. With that being said, some ground rules, as chairman of the board mentioned, be respectful. The idea here is to be transparent and provide clarification, provide answers of the question in a respectful way, ensuring that we are not turning this meeting into a high-level debate. We have another forum where we have received some questions, and we will be scrolling through those questions as we go on. So with that being said, if you have a question, please raise your hand, and we will address those questions in the order we have received. Who wants to go first? All right, I am going to address the elephant in the room. There is a question what we have received from one of the team in WMCB. The question is, when is the ANCL ban going to end? And the suggestion what they have given is that you should allow player the flexibility to play where they can. Banning player because of administrators of the league don't see eye to eye is not fair and demotes the game quality and promotion. I hope this ban is removed as soon as possible and the league an understanding ASAP. I am going to address this question, and a straightforward answer is we do not have ban on ANCL, and teams have a freedom to go play wherever they want to go play. We have addressed this question multiple times previously, and the reality is that you as a player, you have a freedom to go play anywhere you want to play. It is a league policy that if you play in XYZ league, you are not allowed to participate in WMCB. That policy has been voted upon and has been implemented by general membership a few years ago. With that being said, you as a player, you're free to play wherever you want to play. Just like you go to WCL or any other competitive league, they will request you that if you want to participate in their league, you must stick to their policies and procedure, and you must respect their policies and procedures. Same thing with WMCB. If you want to participate in WMCB, we respect you as a player, and we expect that you continue to respect the WMCB bylaws and as well as the policies and procedures set forth by executive committee. I hope that addresses that question. Any question from the audience? We have 25 people and counting. So I'm sure if you have joined in, you must have had some sort of question you want to get addressed. Yes, Samuel.
Hey, Pratik. I know this topic has been many times spoken of, but from my standpoint, is there any time limit to this, right? Is it indefinite? There is a possibility we can go back and review in certain period of time? Is there anything that you are from the league perspective? Is there any time limit on this?
Review of what?
Review of this decision that we are talking about.
You mean to say decision on ANCL?
Yes.
We will definitely, we revisit this situation every year, and we meet with the board of directors every 3 months. We bring this up. We understand where we are today. We understand how much progress has been made to resolve the differences and come to an agreement. And based on that progress report, executive committee is always willing to revisit this in a timely manner and address it from the root cause. Hope that answers your question, Sammy.
Yeah, thanks.
Perfect. Charan bhai, you have a question?
Yes, so this is asking in regards to like collaborating resources, right? So is it even possible where we can make our leagues here, Sunday, Saturday league, where people can go ahead and we will have more resources, right? Because we have more freedom to ground and collaborate. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Sure. So I can tell you that, Chairman, by that I personally have reached out to Washington Cricket League back in December, and we have proposed a thorough plan to Washington Cricket League to collaborate amongst ourselves, making sure that the players have a legitimate time, right? Or I would say an equal time to participate on both sides of the aisle. We have also proposed a combined tournament with WCL leadership. And again, all of this is in writing. However, we are yet to hear anything back from WCL. As and when we hear something back from them, if we have schedule availability, as the schedule has been done, the tournament architecture has already been planned. If we find an open slot, now we are happy to accommodate their needs and we are happy to collaborate. That collaboration door has never been shut. As a matter of fact, Washington Metropolitan Cricket Board has taken an initiative to open the door with the other competitive leagues and have proposed several ideas to execute exactly the same thing what you're referring.
Yeah, because I'm not thinking more tournament. I'm just thinking more of you have finite players and you have finite resources. Why can't we give the opportunity to play for the same 100, let's say 100 group people to go play Saturday and then Sunday as they choose on the day of? You would have more resources in the pools and the fields, availability would be more. But have you guys ever pondered that idea?
Absolutely. Those ideas have been discussed and proposed. The ball is in the court of Washington Cricket League to review and get back to us. And to give you a precise timeline, we've been waiting on their answer over 2 months now.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Any question from Chandra?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, Deepak bhai.
Okay, Pratik bhai, Garnet sir, obviously the senior people for WMCB. So my question is, even though I'm sure I did not attend the AGM, I'm sure this was brought up in the league proposed 60% of the playoff games for the membership, and I'm sure the team voted for it because I was not part of it, so I'm not sure. But like, why are we proposing such high ratios? Like in the past, it was 40% and 40% average below. Now it's 60% round up. It's just making it very difficult. And on the top of that, I heard just a rumor that any DMV tournament, if WMCB players are going to participate in that tournament, there might be restrictions on them as to banning them or not being able to participate in WMCB. Like, why are we doing all this? My basic question is that, hey, no matter what issues the league had with any individual, any other group, any other league, we should not be restricting our players to play the game itself. That's what we love, and that's what we are here to get together for.
Okay. You want to address that or you want to take it?
Sorry. Hey, Deepak. So I don't know where you're getting your reports from, but there's no intention to ban anyone from playing in any tournament. The discussion was that there is a rule in the bylaws that says that if you do not play in any of the leagues, that your participation criteria is basically zero and you can play in the playoffs. If you play in these non-sanctioned WMCB tournaments, then you will now have to meet the playoff criteria. So we're not banning you. You're free to play, right? So that's the response I have for you. I'm not sure where you're getting your answers from.
That's fine. Maybe I misunderstood an individual who spoke to me, but that's what the information I was
No,
given.
there's no ban.
Okay. Not necessarily a ban. Maybe I used the wrong word, but it was more like, hey, if you play in non-approved leagues or tournaments for the WMCB, you may suffer consequences, perhaps. That's what I meant. I'm sorry.
The only consequence you're going to have is that if you were not, let's use that tournament as an example. If you did not play in that tournament and you didn't play in any other hardball league, then you don't have a playoff criteria in number of games. But if you play in that tournament, then you have to meet the playoff criteria. Hopefully that clarifies for you.
I appreciate it, Mr. Garnet. Thank you so much.
Mr. Garnet, I think the first question still remains, right? Was this voted on the 60% criteria, qualification criteria in the AGM? Or how did this 60% came about, that specific number? How did we formulate that? Can you give me a little bit behind the scenes?
The playing conditions are developed by the EC and voted on by the EC. And there was a vote at one of the EC meetings on different proposals, and this was the proposal that got passed.
That's fine, Mr. Garnet. I'll answer the question. Hey, so this was proposed. This was something that was proposed in the EC meeting. The AD failed to join the meeting. We were not part of it, so that's our fault. So this was approved by the general membership. So I get it, Mr. Garnet. You're fine. No, this was approved by the membership in most democratic way possible. So we cannot question that. That's why I did not ask that question again.
So two questions I have, really, because I think Mr. Garnet is saying that it was the EC members that approved it, and you're saying it's the general membership.
EC, hold on. Mr. Garnet, I got this. Sorry, Mr. Garnet. EC proposed it, general membership approved it. Sharon, that's how it works. EC can only propose something. Just any captain in any team. They propose something, the team agrees to it, and they approve it. That's what EC did. They proposed it, EC, the teams approved it. That's what happened. So it was approved by the general membership.
No, I don't. I think Garnet, you want to clarify that probably. I think Deepak, that's misguiding.
Allow me to address this. Within executive committee, we have various offices. The office of the match secretary is responsible and accountable to architect the schedule and the tournament rules and regulation within the framework defined in WMCB constitution. According to the constitution, that authority lies in the hand of match secretary. In this case, match secretary has proposed various options in terms of the qualification criteria, as well as the tournament rules, tournament architecture, the tournament schedule, and a player participation criteria.
I think you're breaking up very badly.
Is it better now? Why am I breaking up? Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah,
You can go ahead and we'll find out.
Mr. Garnet, I think it might be from your side, but Pratik, whatever you said, we heard you perfectly.
No, you're breaking up.
I think, Garnet, your internet connection is breaking up.
Okay.
So anyway, so what I'm trying to tell you is, Charan, to address your questions very precisely, the office of the match secretary has proposed several options on the table in front of executive committee. Executive committee voted on all of those options, and the highest voted item was to go with 60% qualification criteria for any player who are participating in the other league. Let me flip this question the other way around, Charan, or let me flip the answer, I should say, the other way around. When we are governing any league, any sports league, all of those sports leagues are going to have an extreme competition as a part of the deliverables back to the general membership. Those competition rules and regulation dictates how your tournament is going to be conducted for rest of the year. I understand that the concern here is that it is becoming difficult for teams to ensure that players are qualified for the playoffs because of the higher participation requirement, but from a league leadership standpoint, those requirements were put in place to ensure that the most number of games are as competitive as possible. And we have also put in an exception that those criteria do not apply to you if you are only playing in WMCB. If you're playing outside of WMCB in any competitive league, then those criteria will apply to you. So really, players also have a choice of where their priorities are and how they want to prioritize their cricketing journey within DMV. In addition to that, teams also have a flexibility to ensure that they are setting themselves up for success for the entire season, because these rules and regulations have been posted well in advance. I should say probably in our case, Garnet, it was in the month of early February, correct? So I'm hoping, Charan, that will answer your question.
Sorry, I was getting off mute. So maybe let me put the bottom line, what I was trying to get at. I think it caught everyone by surprise a little bit because it was something that kind of EC came about, right? And then the general membership as a whole kind of got took off guard. So I think that might be where I'm also.
Yeah, not necessarily, Charan. After we proposed it, we did discuss that in an AGM, in an spring AGM, and it was voted upon in an spring AGM.
I'll answer for Charan. Charan, it was not caught off guard. Like I just told Shabir in our private message, I failed to forward that email to the team. I've already said that. I failed to forward some guidelines to the team as a captain, where there was issue that Shabir raised, and there's the issue that you're raising. The league made it clear. I have that email. I just looked it up. It was made clear. I, as a captain, or whatever you want to call it, as a management, I failed to discuss this with my team. I've already said that. So can we please move on from this?
Let's address another question from the forum. This is a question from Washington CC. It refers to a similar concern what BC Tigers have brought up, that concern about minimum games required for the qualification. As WMCB is a recreational league, most of the players have other priorities also. They play cricket because of their passion and love for the game. It would be nice to see this change in coming days. We'll take this as in consideration, and under advisement, we will discuss this with the rest of the board and see what alternatives we can come up with. But as it stands, the qualification criteria for T20 tournament would remain at 60%. Let's take another question from the sheet. I believe this is coming from Colonials Cricket Club. Not sure if anybody from Colonials is present on the call. Their question is, why are grounds not being divided evenly among teams? Some teams do not have games at certain grounds. What is the reason behind this? Some teams have to travel hours to play games, while some teams are being preferred to play at the ground closer to the city. Again, Garnet, your permission, I can address this. If you want to address this, let me know.
I'll do a piece of it and then I'll defer to you after that.
Yes.
The issue with grounds is not a new thing. We have 5 fields. When a schedule is made, it's a simple schedule, but the field allocation is always a challenge to do the equity that everybody wants. That being said, we tried, and there are times where one team gets an off-balance schedule. And I won't go to last year and I won't get into this year, but we do try very hard. I will say that last year there was not a request, but a couple of teams, including Colonials, said, hey, we didn't get a game at Oxon Hill, for instance, or Mark Twain during our T20 season. I believe you ask those teams this year, they will tell you they have played multiple games and there's still a number of games to go where they're going to play. So we are trying to do it. It's not always equitable because of the limitation of fields. Now you can pick up the rest from here, Pratik.
Thank you, Garnet. So to add to what Garnet said, let's consider this. 90% of our demographics who play cricket in WMCB lives in Northern Virginia. However, only 10% of the cricket grounds are in Northern Virginia. So obviously, people 90% of the demographics will have to travel to Maryland. Now, it also depends on what corner of the Virginia you're living in. You may have a couple hour travel to where the fields are available. So other than the disparity or the challenges what Garnet has brought in, the reality is that it would be nicer to have few fields in Northern Virginia to even out the schedule. Now, the cricket field issue has been a huge issue from day one. There has been no progress on this, simply because it feels like that the clubs are losing the sight of the need of the league and really relying on executive committee or certain member of executive committee to bring new fields. So I encourage the teams who are having field allocation issue, go look the field by your house. Executive committee will ensure that 70% of the games are by your house. If you don't, unfortunately, you'll have to travel to the fields where we have slots available, because some of the teams who are bringing in fields to the league also have an obligation of that 70% field allocation to them as well. So certainly they're going to take precedence.
Hey, Pratik, I had a quick question for Monir. Just to go back to the conversation you guys had earlier about the 50% required for the qualification. Does that only apply to hardball league, or does that apply to, I know there are other leagues in this area, hard tennis, those
it only applies to a hardball cricket league. Let's take one more question. Purav?
Hey, so I represent Colonials. So the question that we were really asking about was that certain teams have got all their games at one particular ground, and some teams, so Garnet spoke about equity spread. So when the equity spread is actually at 0, then that creates some concerns for everyone. So that was the question that we had.
Absolutely. Like I
said,
said,
let me answer that question because I know what they're talking about. In this case, they're talking about BRSS. Let's be straight up. Let's not beat around the bush. It's a BRSS situation. And it was brought by Colonials very early in the season, like before game 1 even. When the schedule was released, Colonials did their analysis of schedule. That was the very first thing that was brought up. And once the schedule was released, we wanted to go back and revisit. The problem is, if you ever make a schedule, if you change one field in one time slot or one day, it affects everything. And I didn't recognize, I'm being honest here, that I did not recognize what had happened with the BRSS. I've said this to you, no one recognized this last year, and another same type of thing happened with one team, okay? So this is not something that I do on purpose. It happened when I'm trying to fit everybody into a field, and it so happened, if you're lucky enough to be that one team where everybody's playing and you playing them, that's simply what happened. It's happened, like, actually 3 years in a row now, it's happening in different competitions. So we'll try and look at it for it, but it wasn't done this is not done on purposing, okay? It is not. It's a quirk of the scheduling and the program I use, and simple as that.
Thank you, Garnet. Purav, to add to what Garnet said, from a leadership standpoint, if Colonial finds a ground in their backyard, I'm happy to give them the same courtesy what we are giving it to the other teams who have the ground. We will give 70% of the game to you guys close to where you guys live. So I encourage you to reach out to your local county, local governing bodies, request them for additional field. League will ensure that from a scheduling standpoint, you have what you need. From a support standpoint, you have what you need from the league in order to even build that ground. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Purav.
Yeah, but again, it comes down to the point where 70% and 0% is still a lot of...
The league secretary has already accepted an error on their side. The change was too late to be made into the system, and we just have to deal with it for rest of the tournament. we will ensure you that this error will be corrected effective 40 overs tournament start.
Okay, and just a follow-up question. So Garnet mentioned that changing one game would cause a lot of other issues. Then why were we intimidated about a change last week, again involving the same team, where not only was our venue changed, but also the timings of the game was changed? And yes, just let me finish. So you mentioned that according to the bylaws, the EC or the committee is allowed to change the timings and mention it 1 week before the team. We agree, but it only says anything about the venue, but it does not mention anything about the timings.
Sure. So Purav, that matter is still under review by me. That has been escalated to me, I believe, just yesterday. And I will get back to you by email once that matter is addressed internally within executive committee. Make sense?
So there's a conflict again. So Garnet mentioned that changing one game would have caused all the other games to be changed. But in this case, only one game was swapped with another game. So how did this?
Not necessarily. There were multiple issues with this week's schedule. I believe I have provided a written feedback with the challenge, what we have faced to your club POC. They have acknowledged the receipt of that email and they have confirmed that challenge did existed. So we are still trying to correct that challenge. It is still under review by me. I will get back to your club POC in a respected time frame to address that concern. I cannot expect to put things forward in front of the entire population here. We had a schedule where one team was playing 2 games at the same time, and at the same time the team was umpiring. When we are addressing one particular game, we also have to address the equity on an umpiring standpoint. We have to understand the equity on a field assignment standpoint. We also have to understand equity from home and away game standpoint. So Purav, from a look of it, it may look pretty easy to address from a club standpoint, but really from a schedule architecture standpoint, it is an extremely complex situation what we may have to address. Executive committee has already admitted that was an oversight on their side. They should have done a better QC job earlier into the season. Before publishing the schedule, we will course correct those errors and ensure that doesn't happen for 40 overs. But rest assured, the detailed response will be given to your club POC in a timely manner. Let's move on. Bevan.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
Thank you. It's a bit of an extension. Again, I appreciate you guys taking the time. I do want to, again, we all come onto these things and we'll either air our sort of grievances, but I do appreciate the work. We've always said this at the Cavaliers. We appreciate the work that yourself and Garnet and the league have done this year to, have a fantastic schedule of, I think, looks like there's over 30 games. So I have a couple of questions. I'll leave the second one if other people have time. The first one just relates back to people are talking about ground inequities, all of that sort of stuff. I, for one, do not have a problem with the grounds. I know that we're privileged to play cricket over here in DC and grounds, wherever we can get them and whatever location, that's fantastic for us to facilitate the game of cricket. My one thing that I think I've spoken to you guys over the years about is when we have inclement weather, again, we have lots of people traveling, sometimes an hour and a half, 2 hours from Annapolis, north of Baltimore, things like that. It's like last weekend when we can predict rain, and there was a video on the group of a pitch underwater. Is there any mechanism that we can put in place this year to call off games early rather than the sort of the standard 1 hour delay? Because by that time, especially if we've got a 10 a.m. game, a lot of our guys from Baltimore have left, a lot of our guys from Annapolis have left. And if we're at the farm or something like that, at 2.5, 3 hour round trip is as frustrating. And I think most of us want to spend time with our families. So I'm just wondering if there's a collection of people that may live close to the ground or volunteers from other teams that may live close to the ground that can pop down there in the morning when we've had 2 inches of rain the day before, save probably 20 blokes turning up. Is there mechanisms that we're looking into that is probably my question, just for the broader league, not just for our team?
So, Bevan, I'll answer the question this way. Last weekend was the first weekend in a very long time I did not travel on a rainy Saturday morning to any of the fields as far as North Point to physically look at the field and the conditions and so forth. And I took a gamble. To be honest with you again, I took a gamble based on conversations with a couple of people who live close by fields. And that gamble is what I'm afraid of will happen. If we start getting spotters, as you want to call them, I say, hey, can you tell me what's the condition like in your neighborhood? Or can you go to Oxford Hill and give me a video of some kind? The problem is how I look at the conditions, if a field is playable or not, versus another person who may not have done it or probably is not as versed into it. Granted, if somebody had gone to Oxford Hill and seen the ground in the water, yeah, that's easy. That's an easy one, right? That is very easy. I will get to that. But we had an issue at Mark Twain as well, where the pitch was okay, but there were conditions that if the sun had come out, they could possibly play. To answer your question directly, yes, I will go back to make time to visit these fields early in the morning and try and give the teams a schedule that whether the game is going to be played or not, or if it's going to be delayed in a timely manner, so you don't have to leave your house to come stand at the field. That was the objection.
Yeah, no, and again, we weren't playing on Saturday, so actually this is not coming from our personal experience, just looking at it and having that before. What I would say is, again, I'm just trying to more problem solve and think forward for you guys. I don't want to have to put it on to individual members. Garnet, I love the fact that you go out to all the grounds, but that's what I was saying, is there maybe have a conversation in the future for the EC to think about, should we make a trusted committee of maybe people that live close by that send the photos to you or send a video to you so that one person doesn't have to do all of that, because I understand that you have to do everything. So just trying to make it easier for you guys.
I understand.
Okay, Garnet, hold on. So whatever Bevan said, right? Okay, bringing it to the EC, making Garnet the responsible, making Pratik Patel the president responsible for the grounds. I understand the rain is not in anybody's control, but hey, you know what? If it was me, right? Just easy to give an example. If my team has a game and then I tell the league, you know what? I will voluntarily send one of my players to go check the ground, take pictures, get some proof, provide to the league. So rest of the 10 or 12 guys from my team don't have to suffer. Just coming back to the point for Bevan. Instead of Garnet taking all the rounds in every field or Mr. Pratik Patel going every field, why don't we teams take some responsibility and maybe perhaps be like, okay, you know what? We will send one individual to one field and obviously take pictures. They take some proof that, hey, the ground is not playable. Why can't we do that as a team, Mr. Bevan? It's just a question. Because Garnet cannot be going to the 4 fields in one morning and Pratik Patel cannot be in one morning. So that just, it's not going to happen. What I'm saying is that if the teams are playing, maybe we can take responsibility as a team, send one individual from our team. Maybe we can do that.
I think there are better ways to solve this problem. Let us take this feedback. Bevan, thank you. This is fantastic. Deepak bhai, this is fantastic. Let us discuss amongst ourselves and we will come up with some creative ways to address this problem. It is well noted that Rainout games needs to be either called up early or we need to be better organized. I will work with match secretary and the rest of the team to get this resolved before 40 over starts.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I'll take my second question now, unless there's a whole list of other questions, and I can wait for a bit until you've got through those. Just let me know.
Yep. Thank you, Bevan. Let's go with Viral bhai.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you to all the EC members. Thank you for scheduling this town hall, and we really appreciate it. Hopefully we'll have few more throughout the season. My question or feedback is regarding I think this was in the playing conditions. Sorry, I have not reviewed it in detail yet, but this is regarding player not using Porta-John during the game. The question or the feedback I have is the 1 game penalty to the captain is too harsh. And the reason is majority of the players are adults here, right? Whatever happens on the field in the playing area, captain is held responsible, no issue with that. Off the field, again, we are all adults. Any player not following the rules, the player should be penalized. I don't mind monetary fine to the player, suspension to the player, but in my opinion, suspending the captain for players off-field behavior is too harsh.
Let me second that, Viral. I completely agree with you because it happened to my captain, Shabir. Utterly disappointed by that. I know the league made communication. We were told ahead of time. I failed to address this to my team. I understand that. But yes, definitely, like you mentioned, all the players are adults. The captain should not be held responsible for something, some individual's behavior, especially during the break, over break or something. The player decides to run off in the woods really quick. The captain is not keeping an eye on him. A few other things, but I agree with that. A person doing it should be held responsible rather than the captain himself.
Okay. Anybody else on the group having similar thought before we address the question, as we want to address this concern as a bulk?
Yeah, I mean, I'll put my hand up because I put it in the chat, so I'll 100% say mine was more of a, again, I'm not our T20 captain. I am the 40 over captain for Cavaliers for the season, and that's why I put it in the chat to say, if this ruling was made, I'm more of a procedural guy, like under what bylaws and was there outlaid that there was that this was a match penalty and that this will be followed thereof. I couldn't find it within the Constitution and the bylaws, and had that been voted on. That was more of a procedural thing, but I put that in the chat a couple of weeks ago, so I'll put my hand up to say that was more for me as well.
Sure. Thank you, Bevan. Anyone else want to add to this topic? Okay. Garnet, I'm going to address one portion of it, and then I'm going to rely on another portion of it on you. So things what I want to address is the grounds. As WMCB has 5 grounds, and none of them are owned by WMCB. Some of them are leased, some of them are school properties, some of them are Department of Rec and Park properties. It is very evident, or it is not, I would say, it is a fact that there are multiple leagues and multiple tennis ball league and other league who are sighting their eyes on our existing grounds. WCL ran into a problem with Manassas ground with permitting situation. We also have permitting situation with Oxton Hill in some cases, sometimes in Mark Twain and whatnot. From a leadership standpoint, what we are trying to accomplish is eliminate reasons for counties and local residents to complain about the behavior of the players belong to Washington Metropolitan Cricket Board and give them another reason to revoke our permit. Now, how do we, why is it fair to hold captain accountable against the behavior of the player? Put it this way, there is only one league official on the ground, that is the officiated umpire, right? If the expectation of that umpire is to focus on governing the game, then the captains needs to be held responsible and accountable against their players' behavior, both on the field and off the field.
Yeah, Pratik bhai, I agree with you, but not to agree with you. Yeah, it comes down to the same basic argument. No, Pratik, but let me finish. Just give me 1 second. I know I'm interrupting you. Give me 1 second. It comes down to the same argument. We are all adults. I'm sorry, but like, we are all adults. Like, how are you held responsible for an individual, for other individual not doing the common sense, like not according, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, we are all just adults. Like, why can't we just focus on person who's at fault, just punish that person? That's just the bottom line. Then everybody should be held accountable.
I hear you loud and clear, Deepak bhai. The consensus, this topic was actually voted in an executive committee meeting, and the vote to hold captain accountable was unanimous amongst executive committee. This is, and to address your question, Bevan, it is not in the bylaws, because there are many things in the bylaws which doesn't exist. And as we speak, both the executive committee and the entire WMCB board met yesterday to discuss and revise the bylaws and governing documents of the league. So they don't exist, but rest assured, they will be inserted.
Just from a governance standpoint, though, if they don't exist, then in the interest of transparency, when the message went out to say that this person will be suspended under law 1.13.1, and then if we go back into the law 1.13.1, like, if we're going to suggest that we can't sort of have it both ways and say we're doing it under this because it's written down there, but then actually secretly it doesn't exist. So I'm just trying to play devil's advocate there for the team who was affected, because I would be surprised by that. I fully agree with Deepak. Suspend the player, have the player come to a tribunal committee hearing if as well, and go, maybe it's more than one game. That individual should be responsible, but if we're talking about if the league is going to use the league's power to suggest it's under a specific bylaw, and then we sit in this town hall and say, actually, that bylaw doesn't exist, we're in a bit of a dangerous territory.
So let me address that bylaw question here, Devon. The bylaw does clearly states that the captain is responsible for the behavior of the player. So
on the field, on the field, the bylaw states the captain is responsible for the players on the field.
No, the bylaw says the captain is responsible of players' behavior at all time.
I think, could you please get the bylaws up and read them out? Everyone here would know it's on the field.
Yep, I will take this as an action item, and I'll send you. There are actually 2 specific bylaws with respect to this matter, and I will make sure that we communicate back to you with an exact snapshot of those 2 bylaws. One says on the field, the other one says captain is held accountable of the behavior of the player at all time. There are 2 specific bylaws. I will make sure that your team gets a proper snapshot of those 2 bylaws.
Pratik, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, before we move forward, I don't want to stretch this topic, but one more feedback on this. A player could misuse this big time. We'll give you a scenario. A game right before the playoffs, a disgruntled player who is going to be transferred from team A to team B. And if he wants to put the captain in trouble, he would do this on purpose. And then guess what?
Like, let's not get into all that. That's
all right, guys.
The league. Hold on. The league has nothing to do with this. And coming back to Pratik's point, if this was approved in AGM, it should stay, because you know what? The teams approved it, and I'm fully for it. Even though I don't like the law, but if the leagues approved it, if the teams approved it, it's done. That's it. It's done. That's it.
No, of course, but we can discuss, right? If we can amend it.
But what
That's
you're
the
saying
whole
is
point,
like
right?
it's not irrelevant. I know what you're saying, but it's completely irrelevant. League has nothing to do with it. Let's just move on.
All right, Deepak. All right, guys. Here's I'll address this.
Garnet, you have 2 minutes to address this.
Understand. I'll address this strictly from an application of the fine and whatever you have, suspension. Over the last few years, there have been many of the bylaws which we, as an EC, me as a master secretary, did not apply even remotely. Now, I would gather to say we can find communication that says these are the things that are going to happen during the season. I understand Bevan's point. If it wasn't specifically in the bylaws, I get it. I will assure you, Bevan, and the rest of the committee is going to be something that's going to be in the bylaws for the teams to be voted on in the coming weeks before the 40th championship. Okay. Back to the point. Players and teams, we all know this, until there is some sort of punitive action, they don't do the right thing at all times. And I'm careful when I say these things, okay? In this case, we know that it's been spoken about urinating at Mark Twain. There was an issue a few years ago where the police came, okay? Khalil have told us there are people walking by a track right there, okay? So look, we're not doing this to hurt anyone's chances of playing. We love you to play cricket. There's a porta potty. I know it was moved to the other side. We had Khalil move it back to close to the building, okay? All I will tell you is that we try and not be punitive. Certainly, I fight certain things, but I support these kind of things to where if they come down, as the president says, one day if the wrong people catches us, if the police catches you and writes your report, your permit is going to be suspended and you have to go to the school and explain why. Anyway, Pratik, yours. Thank you.
So I'm going to end this conversation with one simple example. Last weekend, there was another incident of the similar kind, and the similar punishment was handed over to DRSS. Now, I gave an example to the guy who did this, and I'm going to share that example here on the call with the entire group. And I really want you guys to think through this. You really got to go in your house, but all of the bathrooms in your house are occupied. What do? You don't urinate in living room. You don't urinate in your backyard. You find an alternate method. So similar situation applies here too. If you really got to go to the nearest restaurants, there are plenty close by. Find other alternatives. Just disrespecting the resources and really creating a situation for the league to jeopardize the field permit is not an adequate solution to your problem. Right?
Pratik, I think we're all in agreement. I actually do think we're all in agreement. I think I fully agree and I fully support the punitive measures, and it can actually be harsher than a one-game suspension for the player. Like, I think the message that's being lost is, and I agree, we need to enact action. And I think just like society, the way that you will get done with indecent exposure if police come and police are called, it is that individual's responsibility to face that punitive action. I think what we're trying to say here is absolutely within the league, we fully support you doing whatever to stamp this out. But I think it has to be stamped out of the individual rather than, for want of a better word, an innocent bystander who might not have even known that it was happening. So I think absolutely be punitive, but it has to be on the individual and not if it comes with a fine with the club as well. Sure, but I think that suspension of other players who weren't even involved does seem harsh. I think that's what the membership is trying to say, but absolutely fully support it. It needs to be stamped out, so fully support that.
We'll take this under advisement, and Garnet, let's review this as a part of our bylaws changes. And
can I just add something to that real quick? I just had something in mind since we're going to end this conversation.
Hang on, there are 9 questions ahead of you. So
since it's on this subject, that's the only reason, but I can wait. I mean, for me, it's no problem.
Yes, let me take a note of this action item and then you can speak.
Sure, I got you.
Thank you.
You can't write and listen at the same time, Mr. President?
You know, I'm getting older, Garnet.
Yeah, but you're still 25 years younger than me.
Retire.
Okay, thank you. In the interest of time, Sherry, can you go ahead and ask a question pertaining to this?
So 2 things. I don't know if I spoke to you about it last week or a week before. So is league ensuring, first of all, that some of these porta potties are not even usable sometimes? So is there any way the league is ensuring that maybe they are a bit cleaner? And the second question is, so let's just say if an individual is there just to watch the game and their team is not even playing and they end up doing whatever we're talking about, would the captain still be penalized for that? I think that because a lot of people come to watch the game and their team is not playing or anything, or has the league thought of anything like that?
So I think from my perspective, and the president and the EC, we can talk about it next time we meet. I don't see how, if your team is not participating there, you show up as a spectator. But I will say this, if you're a member of the league and you come to watch a game, then I tell you that if it's reported, then in that case, the person himself, will be addressed, okay? As far as the cleaning of the porta potties, we depend on the county. And go ahead.
Yeah, one very quick. Apologies for interruption. Shahrukh bhai, I will go back to my earlier example. If you have a guest in the house and if the guest gotta go and the bathrooms are occupied, how are you going to handle that situation?
Oh, yeah, I get that. It's just the fact that if the captain is not even present at the ground, how can he be held responsible for his player at that point? You get what I'm saying? That was my only concern.
And that's what we said, right? That we will take this under the advisement. We will, as a part of the bylaw changes, we will discuss this and we will come up with another way to ensure that the teams are held accountable and the person who is in the violation be held accountable.
We get it. Yeah. But Mr. Pratik and Mr. Garnet, thank you for your time. I think this is a good platform to discuss things where people can ask whatever they want. And I really appreciate Mr. Garnet and Pratik doing this, because I think this is the first time I've ever seen in this league having open conversations where we're not asked to email the league, asked to email the match secretary. So this is a great platform. I think we should consider doing this at least once every tournament, in my opinion, for 20 overs, 40 overs, and maybe T10. But I think it's a great platform and I thoroughly enjoyed it. There was a lot of questions that we wanted to ask. There were a lot of answers that we needed. They were actually addressed. So this is good. I appreciate it.
So Deepak bhai, just to give you a bit of the expectation is to have this sort of open town hall every quarter. not by the tournament. We want to reach directly out to the general membership, the 1,700 registered member of the league, not just talk to 20 club POCs. I think it's important for the league growth to ensure that the general membership voices are being heard. But thank you.
It was incredible. I appreciate it. Thank
So
you.
Pratik, I have since we end the club PSCs, can I say something here on that particular subject?
Yes, very quick. Because question from the
I'll take 15 seconds here. Look, club POCs, you get copies of the meeting minutes every week by Thursday, at least Friday morning. But I know that it goes out sometime between Thursday afternoon after it's reviewed by the EC. Could you all please, whoever received these minutes, you all have club contact groups and within yourself. Can you please propagate the minutes down to your membership? Because I will ask you to not get into the reasons why, but let's share these minutes so everyone, to the extent you possibly can, is aware of the meeting minutes on what discussed, what type of challenges we're facing as a league, as an EC, and it will help us to administer the league. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Garnet. To add to that, we are running an open book governing organization here. We have no secrets we want to hide from general membership. If there are problems, let's pull up our pants and accept those problems and admit that there are problems and work towards fixing it. Chanting about the problem will not lead us to any solution. Working in a collective environment to address those problems would result into more thorough and collaborative solutions of those problems. Okay. All right, let's take a question from the sheet. The next question we have is from Bengal Warriors. Their suggestion or improvement is that the ball quality is really bad. Can we improve ball quality? So I'll take this question, Garnet, with your permission. To answer this question, is the ball quality really bad? Probably not. Can we improve the ball quality? Absolutely yes. So as a part of the next set of structure, which you'll see in coming weeks, the league is going to introduce RFQ process. That entails into request for quotation, where league is actually going to go through a bidding process in a layman's term. We are going to bid out some of these purchases to a larger group and to a larger audience. And we also are implementing in a back end, we are also implementing thorough evaluation process of the quality of these cricket balls. So lot more changes are coming when it comes down to ball quality, uniform quality, vendor management, and the whole 9 yards. I will not get ahead of my entire executive committee and the chairman of the board, but rest assured more details would be coming down to you via meeting minutes in coming weeks. Okay, let's take a question from the audience. Purav, you have one more comments?
Yeah, sorry to stretch this. Just a quick clarification. So you mentioned that the reason why the game was changed was because one single team had 2 games at the same time. Is that correct?
So Purav, I think I suggest we have a little bit of Tylenol and get over that headache. As I said.
Sorry, I think we were told to talk respectfully. So it was a respectful question, just a small clarification that I required. So I don't think the mention of Tylenol was required.
That matter is under advisement. We are reviewing that matter, and your club POCs would receive a detailed email from me in coming days to address that specific question. I think reiterating the same, it's not going to into a different outcome. If something is under review, let's admit that it is under review.
All right.
Thank you. Semi Bhai.
Yes, thanks for. I'm just going to go back to the previous topic that I posted earlier today. So, in the season, I believe early 2020-21, when we had the red ball, especially I don't remember the white ball, but red ball. I remember it used to swing even after 15 over. But nowadays, last couple of years, the ball, especially the red ball that we have, everything goes away within 4 or 5 overs. If folks on the call can disagree with me, but that's what I've seen. And that's where the question came in. Can we improve on the balls? Because red ball, when you play, we expect ball to swing, batsmen to have issues with the swing, to enjoy and have an even game. And not like building like a T20 over game. So
That's where I was coming from.
Thank you. Anybody else have similar feedback or similar sort of questions? Okay. Yes, Bevan. You have a...
Oh, sorry, different question.
Okay,
Sorry.
Apologies. Okay.
Okay, I think we all know the balls. I just agree. That was all I was going to say, but I was going to go a different question. I was putting my hand up for later, but go through the questions.
Okay, thank you. So, Sammy, we have admitted that we are implementing new processes to ensure that the quality of the cricket ball stays intact throughout the year, and it is consistent on all the packages. However, as we are playing game of cricket, and it's a skill set which allows you to swing the ball left and right, not just the cricket ball. So I think if you're judging the quality of the cricket ball just based on it has no swing, there could be multiple reasons why the ball doesn't have a swing. We judge the quality of the ball by the type of leather, the type of stitches the cricket ball has, as well as the cork, which is inside the cricket ball. There are also other KPIs such as weight, the measurement, the diameter, what ensures that those cricket balls are being built according to ICC standards. So I'm sure the Office of the Match Secretary evaluates those cricket balls on a random basis to make sure that they meet the league criteria and league quality. But as far as area of improvement are concerned, they are always going to be there. And certainly from a leadership standpoint, we are ensuring that those quality stays intact and increases if there are any room to increase. I hope that answers your question. Okay, Bevan.
Hello. Question? Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry. So again, I know we're all focused on the now. I just have a broader question for later on in the season. Hopefully we can forward think as a league together. I've heard that, again, from our representative, that there's potentially going to be a T10 season for the Winter Cup in the T20. Is that confirmed? Is that not confirmed? And how did we come to the decision of a T10 if it has been confirmed? I'm just trying to plan for October.
The decision to play T format was made in an AGM, special AGM, I believe somewhere around December 19th. And the entire season architecture, as well as the participation requirement and everything, was voted by the general membership. And that vote was 13-4. 13 in favor to move forward with those changes and a new architecture of the tournament, and 4 votes were against. That was also approved, I believe, as a part of the budgetary exercise and the whole 9 yards. So that's where the decision was made.
And so with the structure of that, so a couple of questions just to follow up again, planning forward. So my first comment, and I fully understand I wasn't at that special AGM, and that's absolutely on me. Is there a thirst, or is there a need for a new format of cricket when we see cricket globally? I'm a traditionalist, I like Test cricket, and we go to 50 over cricket, 40 over cricket is great, T20s come about. Is there actually a need for that? Does the league really value traditionalist cricket values to have T10? Firstly, is there really a need for that around here? And do people really want that in terms of making sure everyone participates equally, like it's a very short game? So number one, just talking about the need of that. My second question to that would be, what do these games look like? Are they back-to-back games? Can a team expect to play 3 T10 games in a row, or at least two T10 games to get people there to be similar to a T20 game? What would that schedule look like, do you think?
Sure. I don't want to get ahead of Match Secretary's surprises, and I'll certainly allow him to address that question, but I will address your first question, that is there a need for it? See, cricket is evolving, and it is evolving on all aspects of the game. It started with 5 days, 6 days predominantly, right? Then was converted into 5 days. Then there was introduction of limited overs. Then there was an introduction of shorter version of limited overs, 50 overs I'm referring to. Then there is T20. Now there is definitely another set of evolvement into the pipeline. There are other regions within the United States of America which plays all 3 types of the game. And if you look far, even some of our competitive league also has similar format what they play under. So from a league standpoint, we really feel that it is time for us to introduce a change. It is time for us to introduce that entertainment factor in conjunction with competition to general membership, and really make sure that we are staying ahead of the curve rather than following somebody. So that was really the rationale. Garnet, I will defer to you to answer the second question of the T10 architecture and some of the work, what you may be doing behind the scenes.
Yeah, so the schedule it's months away from there, but I am actively thinking how to develop a T10 schedule. I'm Bevan, you're on track to part of my thought process, right? Is that bringing teams out there to play 2 games. Not everybody's going to get 2. Some teams may have to travel short distances, Oxford to Mark Twain and so forth. But we're going to try to not have you show up, for instance, on a Saturday for 1 hour, when you have a 2.5 hour drive to the ground, and then come Sunday for the same thing. We're going to try to avoid some of those nuances so that you can enjoy the day at the cricket field and then not worry about the next day. But the total number of things is to try to get the games in within a very compact, condensed time frame we have. And so, yes, we are going to take some of those things in the beverage you mentioned and try very hard to give teams as much time at the field on one given day. I'm never going to say never, but that is my thought process to make a schedule along those lines.
Appreciate that, Garnet. Our sort of wish list from the Cabs is always being, we're happy to spend the day there. And I think what I can see is the advantage of a T20 is we can make a day out of it. We play the first game, hopefully, and as this is what I would say, like, it helps umpiring schedules as well. If we had a first game and a third game, we'd be easily able to umpire the game in between. It allows us to get supporters down there, have maybe a family day or something like that and make a day of it. But just future planning, umpiring on the same day is similar to a T20, if that's possible, that would be excellent. So
that is the plan. Not all of what you said is in my plan. My plan is to get a schedule out.
I'll do the other plan. I'll do the other plan of the barbecue on the sideline. Don't worry about that.
Thanks, Bevan. Thanks, Garnet. Saad Iqbal, if you can unmute yourself, bring your question forward. If you can start with which team you belong to, that would be helpful.
I'm from Virginia Sultans. I used to play cricket with you guys. Now I got retired, then I came back again. The question is that for long that I have been playing WMCB since 2005 or 6. I think it's about time that the league should introduce the screens on the field. There are some grounds that are permanent that I know. Oxon Hill, Farms, Mark Twain. Those are the fields that you can have a place of screen. That will be another step towards being a professional league. That's my question.
Is that a question or that is an advice?
Both, you can take it.
Okay.
Let me address this real quickly.
Yeah.
We own none of these facilities at Mark Twain, Oxon Hill, because there is a school, they're public things. To get anything permanent structure, it goes through a long process. So can it be done? Sure. But you got to get a county, there are liabilities involved with these things. And we even wanted to do some minor things. They won't even cut trees, much as put up structure because we want side screens. Not saying a suggestion is not good. We've talked about it. There are other ways we could try to address it, but permanent structures for side screens, maybe the farm, but even then that's a cost. Who's going to stand the cost and so forth?
I do have another question. One of my club members have asked me to ask that it's about time that we should introduce night cricket as well. That I think it's about time because I believe WCL is doing it, and we can think about that too as well.
Sure.
I think you are a much smarter kid. I know that. I know you since when you were very young. So I think you can use your brain much quicker than anything else right now.
Okay. So let me address this again.
Oh, hold on, Garnet. Hang on a second.
Hold on. And I you take a second. Let me answer the question. Then you can do something here, please. So as far as night cricket, it requires lights. Again, none of these parks have lights. So this is not.
I know. I'm sorry to cut you off. I know it doesn't have the lights, but I think you can have this in your pipeline to discuss something within your EC, not with the club members or POCs, but in inner your circle with your board and EC, sit together and have some plans, not for now or next year, but at least something for the future, because we have been there for long enough.
Yes. Saad, the fact that the cricket is happening and you have a privilege to play cricket in DMV area in under WMCB is all because of this nasty brain, right? Number one. Number two, the fact that you are bringing night cricket concept in is fantastic, and it is already work in progress. For some of our options are already being discussed in executive committee, and they are well underway. You might be surprised what WMCB has to unfold in coming days. Last but not the least, it is imperative for VS Sultan to understand, and as a club, VS Sultan has to understand that first they need to get in a uniform compliance first, ensure that their side of the house is cleaned up before challenging the elected member and the president of the league around.
There was no challenge, there was no insult to you, and
thank you. Move on.
Let's go, guys. Come on. Somebody else has the question.
I'm not taking any more questions from VS Sultan. Thank you.
No, but why did you bring in VS?
Sorry, I was in mute. Just a different topic just pops up.
Okay, so you can say whatever you want, but no one else can reply back to you?
Sami bhai, go ahead. Question, please.
Sorry, Kashyap bhai. So there is this question probably most likely to Garnet. In the field, right? Can umpire call a bowler that he's chucking and you can't bowl or give a penalty or warning? What is the rule around that? Can you please clarify? Sorry, maybe there is one. I'm not aware of it, but
let me try and rephrase that question because I'm not sure I understand the totality of the question. You're asking if you have an official umpire, can he call someone for chucking / no ball and remove them? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Then the answer is yes.
Okay.
Now, please stop right there. I answered it yes in a simplified form because I don't want to get into that debate at this forum. Okay. I don't know where you're going with it, but I've had many discussions with this. So you asked me a question: can an official umpire call someone for chucking, call no ball, and have them via the captain remove from bowling? The answer is yes. Application of that is, Sami, I'm not able to address at this time. But if you want to write the umpiring committee, CC the EC on this subject matter, I'm happy to bring it up with them on behalf of a member club. Is that something that you could work with?
I just have a follow-up question, not to argue with you. Just
okay. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just okay. Anyway, go ahead.
So the follow-up question is: once that call been happened, right? What is the next process of get that bowler certified and okay to go?
We have had this discussion. I know the president and I have had numerous discussions about this. Now that we have an independent umpiring committee, part of the conversations as we get into the season is to address this, bring it to their attention and ask them, because this falls under the preview of the umpiring committee, right? Yes, we represent the clubs, and I know what we're saying, but so I think that what we should do, Sam, is send this question either to me or to the EC. We will send it to the umpiring committee, ask them to look into it and to give us a plan. How about that? Does that work?
I think we have an umpiring committee chairman, I believe.
But I don't want to bring up this at this forum, Pratik. We don't want to open that can of worms tonight. Let's get the question. Because he's going to need time to talk with the rest of his committee. Let's come up with a plan of some correct answer. But let's take it. We can share it out to the relevant committees, and then we can get some sort of answers back to the membership in a longer format. That's my suggestion.
Absolutely. Okay, let's see. Okay, Bevan, go ahead, my friend.
Thank you, guys. Again, just trying to...
There's a ton of questions today, huh?
I'm just trying to bring this back to hopefully league-wide questions that can help all teams, not just potential singular occasions. And so that's what I'm trying to think of. Trying to think of the T10 tournament, trying to think of some stuff earlier. The next question that I have that we've run into is just some clarification. Hopefully this can help every team. Every club runs with different sorts of cash payments. So some people use Venmo, Cash App, Wells Fargo, Zelles, sort of stuff. When we are transferring money to an umpire, is there a way... I understand that the umpiring committee there's certain rules about that, but we've had you in the first week, Pratik, where our clubs run through Cash App. Is there a way that we can standardize that, or at least know before the day how we can pay our umpire? Because that would really help us. Is the league standard cash only? Can we use Venmo? Can we use Cash App? Or is it just up to the individual umpire on the day? Just a little bit of clarity on that. I know the email's been sent out before, but I think a refresher would be great on the league standard.
We'll take that under advisement. We'll discuss with umpiring committee chairman and come up with a standard operating procedure on how to handle finances.
Just as a suggestion that would probably help us. I don't know if it helps other clubs as well, but for us, a non-cash in hand, and I fully understand, just not many people carry cash these days, but I fully understand the need for either Venmo or Cash Apps rather than Zelles and different things. So any form of standardized electronic payment would be great for us, or hopefully for the league as well.
I will take this under the advisement, and I will get back to you. Any other question? Yes, Charlie.
So thank you, Mr. Garnet and Pratik, for all giving us the forum to speak freely today. So that was really helpful. One of my follow-up was Oxon Hill is really setting a standard, right, across the area of having one of the better hardball grounds. Do you guys have any future plans as to what we're going to do with that field? Is there any additional ideas or thoughts? And then my second kind of part to that was that I saw on Memorial Day that we are also asking folks to pay $150 to participate in a tournament. So can you guys give us a little bit more background into that?
Yes. So as far as any plans with Oxon Hill Field, we don't really own that property. It doesn't belong to the league. So we are at the mercy of the county when it comes down to improvement and the other construction needs within the ground, right? So there are no future plan unless the county comes and say, this is what we have available and this is how we are going to do it. From a league standpoint, I'm sure the entire I am personally reaching out to county on some of the basic improvement needs on that field, such as multiple porta potties needs to be available, right? The leveling of the field, the replacement of the carpet, and some of the basic infrastructure. But again, we are at the mercy of the county and their funding, as and when we are able to get them, those field improvements would be taken care of. The Memorial Day weekend, $150 fees. And why we are asking it, look, the concept is very clear, right? It's a special tournament. We are a non-for-profit organization. It is not our intention to make money out of those tournaments. So the money what we are collecting would be spent within the league and within that tournament. And it is not a new practice. The other league are following the similar kind of financial process. You look at it, the DMV Cup, right? I don't even consider that as a tournament, but a privately held DMV Cup. That's not a free walk in the park for anybody to join in. They are charging $2,000. You divide $2,000 by 12 players within the team. Your number will come out to probably higher than what the league is charging in WMCB. So just because we are saying per player and other tournaments are saying per team, the concept doesn't change. The money still needs to be paid to play the tournament. So I don't think that WMCB is doing anything outside of the box.
I think, yeah, definitely. Thank you for answering that. And both the tournaments being on the same weekend and with player diversity, any comments on that?
We live in a free country. Anybody can stand up and anybody can say that I want to have a tournament. It is up to the player to understand their priorities and understand where they want to participate and how they want to participate, what sort of cricket they want to play. It's really up to the player. Like, league cannot dictate it. for the player. Our job is to provide a platform to our general membership to make sure that they have a platform to compete. That's what our role is. We can take a thirsty horse to a river. We cannot force that horse to drink water from the river. The horse has to drink the water himself.
If I can answer Charan, not the same way, but in a different context, if you will. So Charan, the tournament that I've heard, and I heard in your podcast, by the way, and by the way, I do listen to your podcast whenever it comes out. I think you should keep it up.
Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you.
Back to answer your question specifically to the tournament games, right? Let's be candid. The tournament that being held in conjunction with other leagues, I'll put it on the same day. The expectations are two different things, right? Do we expect to have an exciting, good tournament and fun tournament? Absolutely. But in talking to some of the minor league cricketers and so forth, they tend to see that tournament as something big and better for whatever reason. There is no way we're gonna try and ask them to come and play. It's open, they can come play. But what we hope to do with our tournament is to give young players and those players who wish to participate in a weekend of fun and enjoyment to come and play with us. We've always had an open arena. Come play. We'll try and give you the best entertainment. We'll try and give you the best confidence that we can, food, drinks, water, so forth and so on. I think both groups have, to be quite candid with you, probably different goals and things they want to accomplish, right? So I don't think this is a competition between two organizations. I think we each have a set of goals and criteria that we want to see. And that's how I would put it. I have heard in your podcast the different concerns from the guests that you've had. I don't necessarily agree with all of what they have said, but at the same time, we both have, I think, a different set of objectives, and hopefully at the end, everybody enjoys their cricket and be safe in the weekend.
Love that. And thank you, Mr. Garnet. Yeah, because all around, and I think I started with that, just giving us the opportunity on this forum to even speak to you guys like this on a evening time, just openly, that is just a great start in itself.
Pratik, if you don't mind, give me a minute. If it's on the call, Kaushik Pervez from VS Sultan.
Lovely. Yes.
Go ahead. One thing I said this in the beginning of the call. If you could please be respectful, don't hurl any personal insults, and it goes both ways. So if you have a question, if you have a concern, let's hear it. What is it that you have to say?
Thank you, Bobby. I just want to say that I really appreciate this town hall meeting, and I was really supportive of this whole call, this idea, and we should continue this where everyone can come and speak, whatever they have in mind. What I did not respect coming from EC president attacking the club, doesn't matter. So in this town hall, each individual represents themselves. So let's try to de-escalate things instead of taking it personal or attacking clubs. Then we can start going back and forth. It will never end. So in order to grow this WMCB league, we start need to be more professional and respect each other, and let's move forward. That's it.
Thank you, Kaushik. I appreciate that. And then for everyone that's also on the call, guys, please understand, a lot of times whatever points that you say, they come across sometimes could be as personal insults to the EC members. They do a tireless job, and obviously they're also humans. So just because you think you're saying something as a joke to them, it may not come across as a joke. So just be respectful. Just keep your points limited to what is it that you want to ask, and save your personal fun banter at a personal level. I appreciate it.
And there's really guys too many questions today.
I'm just saying, again, it's like everyone else. I'm just trying to keep it in the nice, informative chat so I can plan my season. It's great because I'll tell you what, but like our club deals in text messages and emails. If I can sit for an hour and plan the season, it's great. Spoke about the T10, spoke about stuff that's happening and different things for throwing stuff. My question is actually to Garnet. And I know, and this is, as Bilal said, this is absolutely not pressure at all. But you had just mentioned that the Memorial Day tournament, when can we expect, because potentially we've lost a few games, we might not be in the T20 finals. When can we expect the first weekend? I don't need the whole schedule. When do you think the first weekend of the 40 over season is, and does the EC have that in place yet so that we can start planning just telling our members, here's at least the first date of the tournament. So I know that the Memorial Day tournament's there. There'll be finals and backup days. But do we have an official start date? Because it's not on the website yet, just for the 40 over season.
We haven't put anything on, but we did discuss this at some point. But David, to answer your question directly, right now it's tentatively scheduled for June 7th and 8th. The weekend of June 7th and 8th is tentatively planned for the first weekend of the 40 over championship.
Okay, that's just great to know. And again, we know you guys are busy behind the scenes. It's just sometimes that transition between the T20 and the 40 over season, when it's only a week drop, we just like to know so we can tell people, hey, it's starting now, and whole day availability is required for our team. So I'll tentatively put that in, and we'll keep in touch. Other people that are saying,
so
we should chat to people, but we always chat to the EC. So we're really happy. So thanks for letting us know.
Bevan, to add to what Garnet said, Executive Committee has published the entire calendar to everyone, to all club POCs. I believe the calendar was published on or about February timeframe. So it has all the dates, it has all the details, it has including where we are expected to hold annual award night, when we are expected to hold budget meetings, the whole 9 yards. So everything is there. Reach out to club POC, and hopefully they'll be able to give you a better info.
Yeah, Mr. President and Bevan, hold on. I think we're gonna, if you and I did not relook that the calendar, we may want to take some time in the coming week, and just because we adjusted the T20 schedule, and I think it's going to affect the flow of that whole thing a little bit. So can we look at that, and then we can put a date on that calendar? Because what I don't want to happen is, in this case of Bevan, and if I will call out Bevan only because he's going to go back and say, you told me look at this calendar and plan something, and if we have a game on that day, he's going to say, wait a minute, why publish something if you're not going to use it? So I think we need to look at it and say this is the final one. I don't think there's a big adjustment, but I do know there will be some minor adjustment in somewhere along the way.
Okay.
Just for clarity, and I try to make this as broad so that other teams get the same perspective as well. For me, for our club, we actually, again, you guys probably don't get too many positives. The website is excellent. So for us, we actually followed the website. So when I'm ever looking for games forward, I understand you might have published that in February, but I understand that the changes get made. So we actually, as a club and our executive committee, have people that look for the website. And so we make sure once the 40 over schedule is published on the website, that's when we translate it to our club. So our first port of call for you guys is the excellent website that you've put up. And so that's why I asked the question, just because it's not on the website. So whenever that decision is made, if that could be put on the website ASAP, and then all clubs can know, and maybe there's a directive and say, hey, our website is the number one bit of communication. But I think it's excellent, and that's what we look forward to. That's what we judge our season on. So that's why I asked the question.
Then I can tell you that the 40-over schedule will be posted second week of May.
Guys,
when?
15th of May.
Can we continue with the talking, and you talk less and they talk more?
I'll let you guys, whenever you put it on the website, just let us know.
This, if I can say so. Yes, can we take about maybe 8 to 10 more minutes of questions, if there are any, then wrap this up inside the 9 o'clock weekend, please?
Yes. So we will take few more questions. Let's see. BC Tiger, I believe Atif.
Good evening. Thanks for doing this. Great initiative, by the way, from both of you guys and from the league. Just a suggestion, more so I think that would probably apply to the majority of us. I know you guys stay in touch with the POCs from each club. Sometimes that information doesn't necessarily get disseminated down to the players. Would you guys be opposed to maybe starting some sort of like a newsletter, or maybe posting, like you said, you send your meeting minutes out, maybe posting that on Facebook or something? I know a lot of guys are seeing your Facebook posts as of late because you guys are posting a lot more. Would that be something that the league would be opposed to doing? Because I feel like sometimes if the captain's busy or the POC's busy, it falls through the cracks and it doesn't get down to the player level. So I think that would really help. I know, especially because you guys are pushing this transparency thing for the league this year. So that's just one suggestion from my side.
I'm not sure you see the chat or not, but I have posted a link to WMCB WhatsApp channel. That channel is open to the entire general membership to join in. All of the updates, the day-to-day updates gets posted on the channel. So we encourage you and your entire team to join in that channel. Hopefully that will give you much needed clarity and will also avoid this information not floating down to general membership. We don't post some of the critical matter or critical discussion matter of the league on that channel, but I would say 80% of the things do get posted.
Thank you so much. Also, Mr. Garnet.
Yes, sir.
Can you look at the screen real quick? Where can we buy that hat that you're wearing? How come you guys get all the cool stuff and we don't get anything?
You're a partnership in other leagues, and we don't take kindly to that, my friend.
Oh my God! There we go.
But back to your point, right? I said this earlier. Perhaps one of the things that clubs can do as a whole, right? I understand everybody's busy. I get it, but it's imperative that the EC's communication not just get stuck in the mailbox, right? So I implore everyone, if you're not a POC here, or if you're a POC, either way, get these minutes out, because what's happened is, what we've heard tonight is some of the communication we made, when I say we, I mean the executive committee on behalf of the BOD, it's not getting propagated down to the membership. And therefore, when something happens and they perceive it as a negative on where did this come from, it makes everyone not look very bright. If the more information you have, you may not agree with it, but at least you're informed of what potentially could happen. That's all we're asking you to do, right? We've talked last night at the BOD meeting that the chairman brought up some suggestions. We're going to talk about this in the coming days, and some further communication is going to come our way to find these minutes. But the easiest way is when you get in the mailbox, you have a whole team. Why can't you just mail it to the entire team? Say, guys, read your minutes away. If you have any questions, the questions should come to the POC. Yes, I do agree. But please propagate these minutes out so everybody is fully aware, to the extent you can help us get the ins and outs of what's happening or what's being planned in a few days and months ahead. Thank you.
Last couple of questions, if somebody want to ask. Going once.
I was just gonna say, to the last point, Mr. Garnet and Mr. Pratik, anytime if you guys need any of our help to send with this comms or anything, please tap on us. We will be more than just like how you are doing voluntary work. We will love to volunteer towards the league and make it better.
All right, since everybody's here, I want to address, now that the meeting is over, Pratik, if you want to turn off this recording, you can. The uniform issue. Here's what's happening again. We know what their standard is. We have said it, there's been an expectation, and now it seems to me, and I'm only going to point this out to Pratik and I, if they see Pratik and I on the umpiring list that's going to umpire your game, everyone seems to make an effort to meet the league standards. The minute we turn our back, it appears, well, they're not going to watch and nobody's going to turn us in. And we're not asking people to turn you in, by the way. We're not. But I'm suggesting to you that, and I ask you to uphold the standards of the league and the uniform policy. There are a lot of teams that bought uniform, I get it. But I umpired a game this past weekend, and here's what I was told. In week 4 of the season, our uniform for T20 is going to come next week, okay? Now, whether I believe it or not is irrelevant. But they had uniforms. It was too big for them because they played a bunch of young men whose pants, it didn't fit, right? Now, it's going to cost you a game. You're going to forfeit a game because somewhere, some umpire other than Pratik and I will enforce this uniform to the strictest form. Don't put yourself in that position. Do not. Please. Do what you need to do to get your team in a uniform. And we know you can because up to 2 weeks ago, up to week 2, it seemed like everybody, except the teams that we had known, had been in compliance. So I'm asking, please, you know what the standard is, meet the standards, and let's move on. And those of you that we're working with, I get it. I understand it. We do. I just don't want us to show up one day and you have a problem with playing a game, right? And then asking me to look the other way doesn't work. Thank you, Mr. President.
Can I add something to it? Yeah. The uniform standard were made very clear to the entire general membership, and it was voted upon, those of you who are being curious here, in an AGM in the month of December. The suggestion was that if we have last year's uniform, we will allow you to carry on that uniform for this year because it was financial constraint and whatnot. Executive committee has been as lenient as possible with the respective teams. And in addition to that, executive committee has went above and beyond to make sure that we are not penalizing for someone else's stupidity. But from a league standpoint, it is important to own the league standards, and that ownership can only come by the team if the team buys into it, right? So it's really up to you of what sort of difference you all want to create with the other leagues. If you continue to have different uniforms, different places, different standards, then we as a league will never be able to showcase progress and articulate that progress on the field. Now remember, the uniform standards and uniform policies is not only limited to T20. This policy also applies to 40 overs. So if you have not placed an order for your 40 overs uniform, the tournament scheduled start date is somewhere around June 7th. You have month and about 1 week to get this situation remediated. I encourage everyone, please reach out to your club POCs if you have not already done so. Encourage them to uphold the league standards and ensure the uniform compliance, because last thing you want to do is to have a forfeiture of the game because you're not in a uniform standards. And I also encourage this entire group to come up with creative ways to provide excuses to the umpire on the field that they don't have uniform. The team, what Garnet is referring to, I can feel for Garnet because I pushed Garnet to provide an expedited approval on their colored uniform back in January, February timeframe. So I know that they have ordered their uniform. I know that they have received their uniform because they use the same vendor what league uses. And both shipment came on a same day, same time. So let's not create perceptions and let's stick to the basic. It's not order uniform, get into the compliance and play your role in the league. Bevan, last question, my friend, please.
It's not a question. It's just, sorry, it's a question. It's more of a, given that we've just brought up the uniform, and I'm not talking for now. I'm thinking ahead for you guys. Is there a way in the future, maybe put it on the radar, that for the coming year, so for teams that this year bought uniforms or teams that were in last year's uniforms as per the regulations, can we have a WMCB approved logo that then we can print off or we could get custom made that can be stitched onto our current whites for the 40 over season? And again, for teams across the league, that will absolutely help. You don't need to buy new uniforms. We can stitch on a new logo onto your old ones if you need to. So if there could be something like that, there might already be in the works. And I go to the website for all of my things. So if it's on there, I apologize. But I think, that would be excellent. And everyone this year, next year could have the logo and we all either stitch it or iron it on at home and we learn our textiles again. And that's a way around it with cost effectiveness.
I can help you there, Bevan. You can reach out to Z Sports. They have ordered iron-on patches. You can simply buy those patches and press it on your uniform and they'll stick to it, right? That will prevent you ordering a whole new set of uniforms.
And again, I hope that helps the whole league. Is that's what we'll be doing for the next year after we just bought a new set of uniforms last year. We're trying to work with you guys along the same side. Hopefully that helps other people as well once you can all get that and we don't have to buy a new set and we'll all look spick and span and represent the league.
Yeah, we'll have it. You can reach out to Z Sports. Zaidbhai, I think he is on the call. If not, reach out to him. He has ton of patches and you can just simply buy it from them. All right, Zahid bhai. Few words of wisdom from you. How about that?
I'm sorry, Pratik. I was busy. I could not join you guys. So that's why I did not make any comment. But thank you so very much for all of your hard work. We do have embroidered patches for the league, WMCB league. They're embroidered patches. And they're free for anybody who wants to put it on their shirt. There's no charge for them.
Devon?
Excellent. Beautiful. We'll contact you and buy 1 million of them for the next 10 years.
No issue. No issue. We have enough of them. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, let's take one more question. We still have about 8 minutes. So anybody has anything they want to share? Come on, guys. 7 minutes. Any question? If not, I'm going to pick people. Okay. I see a lot of claps from Tanzir. So Tanzir, say a few words.
No, thank you. Thank you, Pratik. I think it's a breath of fresh air to have these types of discussions, even though some discussions are not very comfortable. It's still important to have those discussions. And I truly appreciate the EC for opening up this forum for us to have these discussions.
Today, we had about 53 participants into the call. They were on and off. We had about 6 questions we received from Google Form. I think to give us executive committee a little bit of motivation, I would say if we can increase this number by at least 100%, that would help us send the right message out to the right folks, and the entire general membership will feel involved into the process.
Okay. Pratik, let me take a minute here of your time. Sorry to cut you off. Just for folks, the teams and players who are transferring, the transfer process for the Elite Division ends this week, right, Pratik? Because it's after game 4, they can't transfer anymore. And then for PD, it's coming up after game 5.
Yeah.
But in the process of doing it, there is a requirement. There's a form. There's a Google form. Whenever I get a transfer, and I send it back to everyone within the context of the group of the email chain, and said the player needs to fill this out and submit it. Without that form, your transfer is not approved. So if you have someone, I know today, I personally made calls to two of the teams that had a transfer and said you need to get it done if you intend to play this weekend. So be mindful of this requirement, please.
Garnet, apologies to interrupt you, but I have not acknowledged and haven't given an opportunity to the chairman of the umpiring committee to say a few words, and he has to leave.
Go ahead.
Ajit, my apology for not giving you a platform, but please unmute yourself and say a few words if you have anything for the group.
Hey, thanks, Pratik. Yeah, no, I did not need an opportunity to talk or anything like that, but thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to help League in this capacity. I know this is the first time we are doing something like this. So I'm just a sincere request to all the teams to be patient and work with us, because this is also my first time trying to do this. We'll try to do better and better every week, hopefully. That's all I have to say. I have no other comments right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. Monir bhai, please, if you have anything.
Not much. I would just say thanks to everyone, who joined this call, because we've been working really hard to serve you guys. Behind the scene, you guys probably don't see all the work, but we're trying to address everything in a weekly basis. We have a weekly meeting addressing all of your issues. And when it comes to a problem, and then you guys address those issues, trust me, we are looking into it, but let's be proactive and put yourself in our shoes or in other people's shoes and see how hard it is to deal with this situation. Be respectful, be patient, and help us help you. Okay, that's all I'm gonna ask. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Last statement, conclusive statement, Mr. Vidal Patel. You wanna say a few words? I think
no, Pratik, sorry, I'm driving. Not much, but as everyone said, I would appreciate you guys doing this and hope to see more of this and then better participation from the member clubs as well.
Thanks, everyone. With that being said, we will adjourn for the day. I'll give 2 minutes back on everybody's calendar. As again, if you need anything, if you have anything, myself and my entire team is at your disposal. Reach out to us. You know how to reach out to us. And I'm sure my team will go above and beyond to ensure that you are playing a successful role. Okay. Thanks, everyone.